10.
Welcome to Reset to Healthier Relationships, Sunday night at 9. I am your host, Coach Glenda, here with my course manager, Coach Carpenter. If you've been holding on to something that has been quietly draining you, I'm really glad you're here. Tonight, it's not about force, it's about release. It's about noticing what you are gripping and asking yourself whether it still deserves your energy. Now, for the past 6 weeks, we were talking on the topic of the husband having a child outside the marriage, and we were dealing with the wife's feelings, her emotions, helping her heal, find peace, get through the situation, and also not neglecting the child because the child is the innocent party, and then how we should deal with the other parent, the child's mother, the baby mama, however you want to categorize her, the other person. So the past 6 weeks we were dealing with that, and last week we had summed it up with how to heal, and we provided a lot of tools on how you should go about getting your peace and finding healing in that situation. But the funny thing was last week that once the call, the live open discussion ended, I had said to Coach Carpenter, I just really sense that we are having our participants and some of the feedbacks over the past few weeks. We're having issues or struggling with that forgiveness and forgetting piece of the puzzle. I heard a couple of times, I can forgive them, but I can't forget. Of course, you'll never forget because you don't have amnesia. Anytime something reminds you of a bad situation or a good situation, there's always some type of a blast from the past or reflection from something that happened to you. Like I said, whether it was good or bad. So when we got off the call last week, I said we need to do another topic, or we need to find a topic to help people let it go. Let that go. Okay. So tonight's topic is, now I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful, but tonight's topic is let that shit go. All right.
Yeah.
Is we are releasing what's heavy so you can rise, so you can get past where you're at today. Now, like I said, I'm not trying to be rude or disrespectful. I did say the cuss word, but it's real. I mean, we hear it out in the street, but I won't say it no more tonight. But I wanted to let you know what the meant in tonight's topic, okay? So we are releasing what's heavy so you can rise. All right. Coach Carpenter, do you want to share a few words before we dive into tonight's content?
You said it all when you said let that shit go. But no, I want to say the night is a great topic. It's a real topic. It's something that, if we be honest, as we look in the mirror, a lot of us have baggage that we're carrying. And a lot of us carry baggage because we're ashamed of it. A lot of us carry baggage because we don't know what to do with it. A lot of us carry baggage because we don't want to let anybody down. But tonight we're gonna talk about that tonight in such a way that you're holding on to stuff that you don't need to hold on is really messing with your peace. So tonight we're gonna try to find a peace. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So have you ever asked yourself, what are we letting go of? Have you ever asked yourself, what do I need to let go of? What have I let go of? What are we letting go of? Now, it's not always people. We break up with people, we divorce people, we cut people off, we block people. But what are we letting go of? That's the question. And like I said, it's not always people. So sometimes we need to let go of explaining ourselves. the fantasy of who someone could be, their potential, their, that we're looking for that knight in shining armor, that guy or that girl, the guy that opens up all the doors, the woman that cooks all my meals. What are we letting go of? Guilt, old resentment, control, whether you have control over them or they have control over you. Proving yourself, over functioning, overdoing stuff, doing, in relationships, the woman may do everything for the man and he gets complacent in the relationships. He doesn't see anything wrong. The fear of starting over. I experienced that myself in a dead relationship for 15 years. I didn't want to start all over with someone else because I just felt like the next one was going to be worse than the one I just came out of. The version of you that tolerated less, the version of you that settled for less. These are some examples of what we are letting go of.
You know what?
Go ahead.
I ain't mean to cut you off. I ain't even cut you off, Coach Glenda. But tonight is a night I think our audience is going to do majority of the teaching, explaining, and coaching tonight. And the reason why I say that, because everybody on this line already, since you started talking, know just what they want to get out in the open and get off their chest or get off of their mindset or just get out there. Almost everybody on the line, because when you said let that shit go, I heard a few mm-hums in the conversation. So tonight, audience, we want you to really dive in full head and let's get it out. Let's get it all out. Let's get it out. This is your time. Coach Glenn and I are here on the sideline, but tonight is your night. The night is your night. Like Coach Glenda said, we talked about husband, wife, baby mama, and drama all the last 5-6 weeks. Tonight, we're going to let some of that go. All right. So anybody want to come off mute right now and talk about it? Get us started tonight? I know Sharon was out there. Where you at, Sharon? Because I knew you was out there.
I'm right here. I'm right here. Yes, you know what? I had to learn to not let what people say or think control me, whether I did good or bad, control how I felt. You know what I'm saying? Because my twin sister, right? We was,
Sheila,
she's
correct. Twin sister Sheila, correct.
person. I used to wish I had her personality or could be like that as far as forgiving or not let something bother me or whatever. But in the long run, I'm glad I'm the way I am. But now I just let it go. If a person act a certain way, whether they right or wrong, or I'm right or wrong, I don't even worry about it no more. But once I said how I felt and got it off my chest, that's the end of that.
That's a great comment, because when Coach Glenda said we're not talking about letting people go, my antenna went up then, because a lot of our problems stem from the people we need to let go. that's my put in it tonight. Sometimes you can't take everybody where you're going. Sometimes I think that things that people are in your life for a reason, season, or how that goes. A lot of times you try to carry people to the next level that you're going to. It's not going to happen, because they're going to hold you back. So that's one of the things. People. Any comments about that, audience?
Well, people will destroy you worse than words. Words and stuff. The people motives and behavior, or caring about what they think or how they try to display you or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, because I was trying to let you guys talk before Coach Glenda started doing a lot of coaching, because I know she has a lot of great coaching for the night. But I want us to talk. I want us to open our hearts to this message and get it out there, because there's so much we're holding. Sometimes your past. Sometimes you need to let that go. And if you first have to realize it, you have to be aware. And once you're aware of some of your behavior, some of your cycles, some of your patterns that are holding you back, tonight you have permission to let that go. All right, go ahead.
Okay. All All right, so you don't let go because you hate it. You let go because it's heavy. And my version of heavy is it's holding you back for what you really deserve and what you really want. So when we say that common phrase, I can forgive, but I'll never forget, you know, are you really forgiving? Because forgiving and forgetting works as it's a package deal. They work together. I know that when I was going through my divorce and before it was finalized, I struggled because anytime someone said something or even said my ex-husband's name, I tense up. My body started to react just to him and little things that he used to say, or if they tell me something he said or did, or even when the kids came back from their visitation with him, it bothered me. But as I stated, when we were going through the divorce and then we eventually got a divorce, it would still bother me, but that lets me know I really didn't forgive him. And even after I divorced him, I really didn't forget because my body still reacted to when the kids came back and said, my daddy this, my daddy that. Or, I have a phone conversation with him about the kids. It always, he just gets on my, he doesn't get it. But I realized over time, it won't making him sick. It was making me sick. Just going through the divorce process, I had gained a total of 300 pounds, diagnosed with high blood pressure. I had so much fluid in my body. I had to get put on a diuretic. And when you start taking a whole bunch of medication, you have to add a multivitamin or something to offset the side effects from the primary medications. So it got to like 12 pills a day. But I realized that my situation with my ex-husband, it wasn't bothering him. I wasn't bothering him. Him hearing my name wasn't bothering. I really didn't forgive him, and I wasn't trying to let it go. And when I had stated when I first came on that, I noticed that some of the comments and the feedbacks from our series the past 6 weeks, a lot of people were saying that I can forgive you or forgive them, but I'll never forget. But we have to bundle that together because we need to forget it to the point where it doesn't cause a reaction in our bodies. It doesn't change our conversation. Today, I can talk to my ex-husband. I can hear my kids say stuff about, but oh, okay. All right, well, I don't know anything about that. So, okay. Well, don't talk bad about your dad. That's still your father. It don't bother me. It don't get a rise out of me. I don't get hot and heated. I don't roll my eyes. I don't do any of that. I'm just like, oh, okay. It don't faze me no more. Now, I remember a lot of stuff that took place, but it's like, okay, whatever. It was not because in my personal opinion, that experience that I went through with him, it made me a better person today. So we want to use those bad experiences by forgiving and forgetting, or, just not getting a reaction out of the past hurt and the past pain. We're trying to get you to the point where you can forgive and forget and have a successful, healthy relationship in the future. To where if you did experience a situation where your spouse had a child while you guys were married outside the marriage, even after you have accepted to stay in the marriage, you can deal with it. You can still find peace. Not every time the phone rings, is that her? Or every time the child needs something, you feel like a dollar out of his pocket, your husband's pocket, is taken away from you. No, we want to accept the challenge. We want it because we decided to stay. We decided to stay and we want to accept the challenge and we want to find peace throughout the situation. So does anybody want to share a comment based off of what I just said before we move on?
When you said the word experience, it made me think because some of us, I know, if we let some of those past experiences go, what would shift in our life? What would actually shift if we stop letting that weigh us down? Because when you said when your children talk about your ex-husband, and you said you're able to let that go now, you like Teflon, it falls off your back.
Right.
But there's some of us when you say the X or you say the experience, we can go slap off right quick. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times when those experiences come up, if you haven't let go, you can feel that pain like it was yesterday. Mm-hmm. That pain becomes real. And not only that pain becomes real, that pain makes you do certain things that you may or may not want to do. Pain will cause you to not go down that street anymore. That pain will cause you to old people say begrudge that person. That's what the old people say. Mm-hmm. But pain will cause you to not to deal with some of your family. And a doggone sure make you forget some of your friends. You know, so when you deal with that pain, audience, help me out. When you deal with that pain, and you know, whenever that person come up, or that experience come up, that situation come up, and you know, it take you right back to that hurt, right back to that moment, right back to that event. How do you deal with that? How do you handle that? What are some of the things that you feel in your body, in your heart, in your soul when those things happen? Let's describe that. I know for me, there's a recent event. When I say recent, within the last couple of years, someone that I cared a lot for and felt good about told me something that really upsetted me. When they said it, I looked at them like they crazy. You know how you look at somebody like they got two heads. When the person said it, I said, man, and it cut me to the bone. And for a minute, I walked around with a cloud over my head, carrying what that person said, what that person done. It took a while for me to let that go. And matter of fact, it gave me depression. So what people say or do experiences really give you, I was talking to Coach Glenda today, and she told me about a couple of people that had strokes in the last few weeks. That's stress. That's stress. And I'm not saying they had a stroke because of the night's conversation, but I know a lot of times stress is a major killer. Mm-hmm. And stress comes from holding things that you don't need to hold. Mm-hmm. So how would your life change if you let go of some of that stuff that's weighing you down? Audience, what are some of the things that, let's put in the chat? Well, go ahead, Sharon, then I'll talk about what I'm going to say. Go ahead, Sharon, I can feel you saying something.
I felt like when I was at the point where I was keeping and holding a lot of stuff in that bothered me, instead of talking about it or letting it out or letting it go, it weighed me down. Mm-hmm. If I felt like the world was on my shoulder, everything bothered me. It was like a chain reaction. Everything bothered me. Anything happened, it just added to the domino effect, But once I realized, wait a minute, this is my life. I'm entitled to make mistakes, or who is someone else? Why am I listening to them to validate who I am or what's going on? Like you said, it's not bothering that person at all. So why am I worried about it? My life felt lighter.
Yes, yes. Let's take a minute to put in chat. What are some of the things, issues, experiences? What are some of the things that you're holding on, that people hold on to? Not so much you, that people hold on to. And you know people in your life that hold on to things that to you don't make sense, but to them, it's crazy how they hold on to it. Let's put in chat some of the things that you think or you feel that people are holding that's weighing them down. And let's put in chat, okay? Let's give about 3 minutes to do that. I'm gonna put something in chat myself.
Can I say something though, Rufus? When you made
go ahead, please go ahead.
The comment, I had a brain freeze. I had a brain freeze. It was on my tongue, but I couldn't get it out at the time. Hold on, let me think what I was trying to say. Mm-hmm. Oh, like you say that people people will do or say or hold on to. But it's mm-hmm. funny how they can be that way. But if you try to be that way towards them, they think you're crazy. Like, yep. You had it right. That's crazy.
You're right. You're right. I wish I could spell. Man, I'm messing up here. My type in mine. Well, you guys, it's gonna be ebonics. Okay, got another couple minutes, and then we'll start reading some of the chat. Yeah, if somebody that's not comfortable chat will put in the chat, they want to speak theirs out, they can, while the rest of us are typing ours in. Okay. All right. All right. Let's do it. Okay. Coach Glenda, you want to read the chat, please?
We have two in the chat. We have childhood hurt, and then we have money issues, especially when they owe you. Those are two very good ones.
Now let's talk about childhood hurt first. Let's talk about that one. Okay. Childhood hurt, that's something that follows you forever if you let it. If you let it. And not only does it follow you, it stifles your growth. It stops you from being who you truly are. Because a lot of times when it's a childhood hurt, let's say, for instance, it's an ability or a skill. I tell you mine. I had one. I couldn't dance. So every time somebody says, let's dance, I'm a permanent wallflower. I listen to music, but because when I was younger, I couldn't dance and people laughed at me when I danced. They said I danced like white people. So that stopped me from dancing as a child. So when somebody say dance, I go stand over the corner where I can't get out of something. But that's something that has stayed with me as a child. And now I could dance because I can do anything I want to do now because, hey, I can get out there and throw my hands up and down and twist around. And that's me, I'm dancing. But for a long time, that affected me. Any other want to share some childhood things that they know? Not just talk about yourself, but some of the things, other childhood things people do. Okay. I know a famous one, Batman. Batman fell in a cave when he was a child and bats. So he had a fear of bats. So he had that fear a long time. He overcame that bat, became Batman. So I just had to throw it out there. I just said it was in my heart. I'm sorry.
That's a good one because I'm like, wait a minute. I thought there was somebody from your childhood.
Yeah. And
okay.
The reason why,
no, you go ahead. You finish.
No, and the reason why we brought this up, if you let some of this stuff go, man, your whole life will change. Your whole trajectory of stuff change because you're living on your past ability. Back then, you couldn't help yourself. Back then, the situation was probably bigger than you, and you didn't have the ability to change it. So if you still operate from that child hurt now, you have the ability to change it. You're not the same person. You've grown. Your whole sphere and surrounding has changed. So if you let that govern you back then, you're being handicapped. Mm-hmm. So let that shit go. That's it. I had to say that.
I see you like the topic.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I know with me, any issues I dealt with, it made me like a very defiant person. Like, especially issues that I dealt with that I was too young to speak for myself or something like that. Mm-hmm. It made me kind of like be defiant, the very defiant type of person, like in teenage years or early adult years or whatever. But once I let stuff go and what is what is, I felt like I was a nice person. Mm-hmm.
Right. I saw something good in there. Somebody said in chat that they were called a certain name as a child, and that name kind of stuck with them, and people teased, because I was taught sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. But that I was taught that, but it didn't sink in because it do hurt. It do hurt, and when you call those things, you have to eventually grow out of those things. You gotta let them go. You gotta let them go because I think we had one in the chat, and that's what we're doing tonight. Now we're starting off kind of slow because we want to get this out and let everybody know they have a part in this talking. But before the night's over, we want everybody to have gotten it out. Anything that you're carrying in your mind right now, anything you're carrying in your heart, and you don't have to tell us. You don't have to tell us, but we want, before the night's over, we want you to let it go. You can let it go privately, or you can let it go in the chat, or you can let it go by talking about it. But tonight we're going to have fun with this. But at the end of the night, we want you to find your peace. Tonight is about you finding your peace. And a lot of times we carry hurt that people don't know. We carry it in our heart and we carry it in our spirit. So tonight, let's let some of that go. Okay? Go ahead, Coach. I'll give it back to you.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for you guys. And as we said, you can put your responses in the chat, or you can come off mute and share. What feels heavy right now in your life? Are you dealing with something right now that you're carrying from the past and that you just haven't officially and fully let it go? Is there anything that is weighing heavy on you right now?
A lot of common things weigh on people's mind, that they think they're not good enough. Mm-hmm. They think they can't. They think that something's wrong with them. They don't measure up. A lot of us carry that as a secret thing, that we're not good enough. Whenever a situation come up, we're always going to think the negative, because we don't think we're good enough to get the positive. We don't think we're good enough to get what God has for us. We don't think we're good enough to be up there with the big league or the upper next level, because we don't think we qualify that, because we hold our own selves back. And a lot of us won't say that, but secretly we feel that. Now, how do we get out of that? How do we step beyond that ceiling, our own ceiling? Because a lot of times it's not what other people do to you, it's what you do to yourself.
Right.
So how do you get beyond, I don't feel I'm good enough, I don't quite add up, or I'm gonna always look for the worst because I'm not worthy of the best?
I know
how
for
we can get around.
I shake it off. I give it maybe 24 to 48 hours and try to process it. And then I eventually shake it off, because I'm too grown to be worried about stupid stuff. I mean, to me, it is. Someone put in the chat, I learned to ignore ignorance. That's even better.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times people say, tell me, make that make sense to me. The first thing they say, make that make sense to me. Right. And when they tell me that, I be saying, how in the heck your ignorant stuff is going to make sense to me, and it's ignorant? I can't say what I want to say. But sometimes some of the stuff people do ain't going to make sense to nobody but themselves.
Right, right.
Because they can only see a profitable outcome of some of the stuff they do.
Right.
Because some of the stuff they do ain't nowhere in the world. And they said, make it make sense. And you be saying, wait a minute, now I said it. He said, make it make sense. If I didn't think it made sense, I wouldn't have said it. But that's another thing that gets to me when people say, make it make sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's see. Let me see what's in the chat real quick. So, right, you know exactly what you can and cannot do. Right, you already know your personal limits. All right, the next question is, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid that will happen if you let it go?
That's a good one.
What are you afraid will happen if you let it go?
I'm gonna add this one and the first one you said together.
Okay.
Because I know it me, and I know a lot of people, when they hurt people, not because they meant to hurt people, but inadvertently hurt people. And it could be hurt physically or mentally hurt people. And a lot of times it hurt you more than it hurt them. And you carried it along with you a long time. And you wish that you had done it differently or didn't do it like that.
Right.
And you carry that hurt yourself in your own heart. Man, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I could have did something different. And a lot of times you will beat yourself up as something that's, and here's the thing, it's gone, it's past.
Right.
It's gone. You can't take it back. You can't change it.
You can just
but you
move
still
from it.
carry that hurt, and you still carry that hurt, and it's still that guilt, and it weighs you down. So what would happen if you let it go? Relief.
Mm-hmm.
Relief would really relief, and you would stop agonizing over that moment, and you would learn to I just won't do it again.
Right. You learn your lesson.
Mm-hmm.
That's a part of being human. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
we look at a lot of things that happen that are unforeseen, or we didn't, I didn't even see that coming. But everything happens for a reason. And some things that are happening in our lives, it's a test of, it's not for the other person, it's for you to see how you're going to handle the situation. Because if you don't pass the test, the same thing is going to happen with some new players, and the opportunity is going to present itself for you to play it out again. And you need to know, what would I do differently?
How do you determine what to let go? When you said do differently, how would you determine what to let go?
If it's something that happened before, however I responded, my feelings at that time, like, oh, I wish I would have did it differently, I would know
Mm-hmm.
the next time, because I should have did something different than what I did the first time.
So you saying it's a learning process
It is.
versus a guilt process versus holding it.
Right.
You learn and move on to the next lesson. You
Right.
have a testimony and move on.
Correct.
That's okay. That's it.
All right. What we have in our chat?
Hmm?
Okay.
I can see the chat now. Okay. Keep it to myself. That's something. Okay. What else I see in there? I've learned to ignore ignorance.
Yeah, we went through that one.
I know what I can and cannot do.
Right.
Okay, that's all I see on my end. You see any more?
Yes. That you have to think you like yourself as you are,
Mm-hmm.
but afraid of the new you, of a new you. Okay.
I tell you something that a lot of times, and this is a people pleaser. When you feel you got to be it to everything. For instance, like I'm a father and a grandparent, and a lot of times I want to solve their problems. I want to be everything. I want to make sure they have a better life than I have had, and I will move heaven and earth to make sure that's the case. But when I think about it, am I over functioning? Am I doing too much? Am
Sometimes.
I reaching further? Because some of us on the line, I know we have new kids, we have grandkids and stuff like that. So are we reaching when we're doing too much? Or is that what we're supposed to do? Be over functionals? Because I know a lot of times, especially with ladies, with women all the time wanna they overgive a lot.
Mm. I think as a parent, I don't think you can over function, because that's what you're supposed to do. Because most parents, most they want more for their children than for themselves. So I want you to have a better life than I had. So I understand that as far as a parent, but grandparents, I think sometimes as grandparents, it's overkill. They do too much. And I'm a grandma baby. So I trust me. I think when I got married, the light bulb really went off for me. I was like, wait a minute, where's grandma now? I mean, nobody's making up my bed. I'm expected to make up my own bed. I mean, all my years at home, my bed was made up by my grandmother. So when I got married, I had to learn how to do stuff for myself, because that was the expectation. So grandparents, I think that's a little, they do overfunction, grandparents do. And then sometimes with kids, you have to follow for me, I've noticed you have to follow, or you should follow the lead of the child. If the child is always pushing back, you be like, oh, okay, so you really not trying to go all the way. You just want to go halfway. So, okay, I'm gonna meet you where you at. But you never know if the next grandchild may come. I want to go all the way, grandma or grandpa, and they'll be the one that you take to the next level. But I don't agree with the pushing. I don't think every family should have a Joe Jackson in them. I mean, it's good to have somebody that sees your potential and wants you to have and make you be successful and want the best. But sometimes when you carrying somebody, especially a child kicking and screaming, my personal belief, and it's just for me, and it's from history and from experience, I can't pour into people that's not pouring back into me. If I have to pull and you kicking and screaming and you're bucking on me every which way, whether a grown up or a child, I have to find a stopping point. Say, okay, I can't go but so far with you because I don't have that extra time or energy for the pushback because you're going against the grain, and I could really be focusing my energy and time on someone that really wants to go to the next level or wants to learn what I'm trying to teach you.
Okay. All right. Second part of that, 'cause I'm gonna do two questions, but I'm gonna do the first part of that first. Okay. How do you feel when you can't do that? Let's say your grandkids have a major function coming up and you can't afford to do it or you can't do it, you don't have time to do it. How does that do that beat you down? Or are you able to let that go?
As a grandparent?
Yeah, as a grandparent.
Oh, okay.
Because I know sometimes grandkids can have all kind of things they do themselves, and they always want you to contribute or be there or something like that, and you can't do that. It could be financial reasons you can't do it. It could be health reasons why you can't do it. Do you let that? How do you handle that? Do you let that rob your peace and beat you down, or you let that go too?
What? Well, I know for me, it was a lot that my grandmother couldn't do because of her age, but
Mhm.
it didn't mean that she loved me any less. Like she wasn't able to attend my high school graduation because of her health issues
Mhm.
and not being able to walk up the bleachers at the school. So I understood, but sometimes you got to learn to accept the reality of what it is. It's not that my grandma loves me any less. Like she didn't have the money for me to go to prom, like personally, but she found it. But that was I probably put her in a hardship.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about how you saw it. But if you were your grandmother and she knew she couldn't and she couldn't do that, would
Hmm.
that be something that do you think that's something that she should be able to let go easily, realizing that, so it shouldn't
Yes,
weigh her down?
yes,
Okay.
I think so.
Anybody in
That's
the
just my
audience want to
opinion.
comment on that part?
Because disappointment in her is a part of life. So the sooner the child realizes it and deals with it, the better. And like we said in the beginning of reset,
Mhm.
practice saying no.
Okay. All right. Now the same thing. Now let's take that. And we're not talking about family. Let's about friends. Let's
Okay.
say we got friends. Let's say we have friends because one day I think about 3 or 4 sections ago somebody said that your friends sometimes you have that girlfriend that will ride with you all the time, will never offer to pay gas or never drive her car. You're always driving your car and putting your gas in. They never had gas. So you're overachiever in that area. How do you feel about that? Is that something you should let that go, or how do you handle that? Okay, now that we got the smile,
That's different.
somebody help her out. In the audience, help her out. How do you handle that?
That's different. That's different. Because I have two friends like that. And I mean, we're still friends, but we don't go out that often.
So you let that go, huh?
I just fell way back. I don't volunteer. I don't, when they say they want to go somewhere, I say, oh, okay, well, let me know how that work out for you. Let me know how it is. I don't volunteer my time, my gas, or my vehicle.
In the chat, somebody I got it this time and you got it next time. But let's say your friend, the friend don't never have it. They never come up. They never volunteer or never had the money or never can do that.
The next time never comes up for them.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Because they don't come up. How do you handle that? Do you let that bother you? Or how do you handle that? Well,
It won't be a next
next
time.
okay, that's a good answer. That's a good answer. And you let that go.
Right. You let that situation go, but it doesn't mean that you have to let the friendship go. It's just that there are some things you won't be doing with that person anymore.
Okay. Bad. Okay.
Now, if they come out and ask you, why we don't never go out and do this no more? Say because you don't never have your portion. You can never pull your weight. And I can't do it all the time. It's not fair to me. That's where the being open and honest in your communication comes in.
Mm-hmm.
She said, oh no. She said, oh no, you still my friend, but you act broke. You're right.
But you know what? A lot of you're right. You're right. I'm glad that word "act broke" because a lot of time people don't be broke.
Oh
They
no.
act broke
People pay for
because
what they want
a
to pay
lot of
for.
times your friends think he got a lot of money, she got a lot of money.
Right.
Shoot, lean on me for hey, let's do it. And that bothers me sometimes.
Yeah.
Because your resources are being taken all the time, and they're getting a get out of jail free pass, an easy ride.
Practice saying no.
Okay, all right, all right. Go ahead, Glenda. I just need that gotten that out, Coach Glenda.
They said someone put in the chat, I'm working check to check. Yep, just like you. Yes. Okay. So the next question I want to ask, who would you be without this resentment? So when you think about the situation that you're in, who would you be without this resentment?
I guess how would you envision yourself? The question, because because let's say for instance a situation about my friend that never pays when we go out, and if I cut that, forget that, I'd be a better person because I wouldn't feel like I'm drained. I wouldn't have to be sitting on the other side of this person, calling them all kind of names under my breath. I wouldn't have to be saying this low light. I wouldn't be saying that, and I won't. Every time they call, I'd be trying to duck the call and stuff like that. I won't have to put those. I don't have to put that on myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that would help out a lot. I wouldn't have to pretend I'm somebody that I'm not in that friendship, because a lot of times when a person call or person, and that every time they only call you when they want something from you, need something from you, and they'll drain, and when you need something you can never call on them, you can never depend on them for anything.
Oh, they always
So
have
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Coach Carpenter, now explain, because when I had read, who would you be without this resentment? You said, in other words, what was your version? A simple.
I would be a happier person. I would be a person with less friction in my life. Because if, let's say, for instance, that person that never pays, like I said, my friend that never pays, we go out a lot and they never pays, or they never offer anything, and they never drive. And every time I drive them, I got to put gas in my car, and they sitting on the passenger seat. I'm driving. I'm doing all the driving, all that. And under my breath, I'm calling them all kind of MFs and all kind of this and that. And I'm wishing that I didn't have this friend in my life, so I would be a better person. I would be a more calmer person, and that's who I would be.
Because I know
And probably have a few dollars in my pocket.
Yep, somebody did put that in the chat. They said I will have extra money. You're absolutely right. Now, someone did ask, I guess I'm thinking they didn't understand the question, so I'm asking them, does that clear it up for you? Because you asked what it meant. You didn't understand what I meant when I asked the question, so did we clear it up?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
And that's why I answered the way I answered, because it was kind of a little tricky for me too. So that's why I answered that way.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. So my next question is, what part of you is ready to release? What part of you is ready to release what you're holding on to?
That question is situational. That question is situational, I think.
Okay.
That question
Why
is
you say that?
because say your question again. Then I'll tell you. Read the question again or pronounce the question again. And
What
I'll tell
part
you why.
okay. What part of you is ready to release?
Okay. If it's financial, if my pocketbook, I'm ready. I'm ready to keep more dollars in my pocket. And
Right.
if it's a lover in my life, I'm ready to release and get that off my heart. And I can go out and say next. And if it's a friend that's always borrowing money, I let them go. That's a drain gone.
So would you let the
That's why I
friend
said
talk?
situational.
Would you let the friend go, the whole friend go?
If it kept being that way, yes, I probably would let them go.
Okay.
I probably would let them go. And let's say a brother or sister that that never show you love. You do everything in the world for them as a brother or a sister, and and they never reciprocate. They're never there for you. So when you how would you handle that part of it? Or a child, even a child, the child when you did all that to raise this child. Now this child grown, this child don't give a hoot about you and cuss you when they see you and stuff like that. So that's why I said situational. For me, it would be situational.
It is because you can't really kick family to the curb but so much, and then being a parent, you can't choose the families that you're born into. So I do get what you're saying when you say situational, because not all of me and my kids' days have been good. I know they curse me out to my face and under their breath, and I'm like, okay, all right, and then I put them on a serious block. I put them on blocks for years. And then when and recently we just started to come back together because we both we felt the need, or we saw a need for a void in our life. But they already know, you pluck my nerves, I'm gonna put you back on a block because you're not gonna talk to me any type of way. But we're in the process of our healing as far as letting stuff go and forgiving, because like we said tonight, it's already done. So it's nothing we can change to fix what was done in the past, but we can learn from it and move forward in the future. So for me, what I am ready to release is when it comes to my children, I'm ready to release all the bad hurt and all of the disappointing conversations, everything that was negative from raising my kids up until their adult years. I'm ready to release all that so I can have a better, fulfilling relationship with my children. And I can give them that motherly wisdom that they have been longing for or needing when it comes time to make those hard decisions in life, because I've been their age, so I know the struggle is real, but they haven't been my age and they haven't been through some of the things that I've been through. So actually, we both come to a table with a lot of knowledge, but on different levels. Mine is a more seasoned because I'm mama, and theirs is more, I would say, like high speed internet. Theirs is more, contemporary because it applies to today. Like for instance, my just to get off the note, my son, he helps me with my iPhone because he was like, "Mama, you can do this." I said, "Really? Show me how." And he'll send me a video through the phone, which I didn't know you could do that. He'll send me a video of how to do it, like he's teaching his mama. See, that's not my thing. But when he comes to me for those hard questions, like about his wife, his relationships, his jobs, that's when the mama skills, kick in, baby. Look, you got to make sure your resume is done right. You got to make sure you respect your wife. Your wife is your priority. That mama wisdom kicks in. But before we could get to that point, we both had to let a lot of stuff go from the past.
So you said something, and let's take a few minutes in this lane right now. You said it with his wife. stuff, and not his. We're not talking about his wife right now, but we're talking about. Let's talk about in relationships. Let's talk about what you got to let go in relationships. Let's spend a few minutes in talk about relationships. Let's talk about relationships if you're just dating. Let's talk about it if you're in a committed relationship but not married. Let's talk about it if you're in a relationship and you're cohabitating together but not married. Let's talk relationship if you're married. Let's deal with it in that area for a little bit, because that's where I think we have our biggest messes and our biggest problems is in that. What do we let go in relationship? What are some of that shit we gotta let go in our relationships that weigh us down, that get us in trouble, that robs our peace? Let's stay in that. Let's talk about that for a little bit, because a lot of times it could be something little like and I'm just picking something like, let's say the guy don't leave the toilet seat up, and the lady tell him all the time, hey, come on, can you put the toilet seat down? Because sometimes it may be dark at night. She may don't even cut the light on and go in the bathroom and she's drowning. But I'm just saying, I'm just trying to pick some things that we need to talk about. Or it could be that that one stay out too much or something like that. Let's talk about some of those things. Audience, share with us, what are some of the things that you think that we would need to talk about in a relationship that we could help people solve or help people get around, or we could help coach people into letting that stuff go? What are some of the things in relationships now or dating? Anybody got any suggestions in this? Let's talk about this.
Well, I put in the chat while they're thinking and before they start putting information in the chat, I did say the lying and the cheating. When you catch your partner lying or you catch them cheating.
Mm-hmm.
That are a few things you need to learn how to let go.
Let them go, or let the cheating, or let them go?
Both.
How do you say?
Let both,
okay.
But you got to think about it. If you decide to stay, you have to let it go. It really is nothing else to discuss if you leave, because you already done said, I'm out. I mean, you done lied to me once or twice. You're a habitual offender, so this is going to happen again, and you cut them off. Everything ends right there. You catch them cheating the first time, you cut it off right there. But when you decide to stay, you got to forgive and forget. You need to let it go. Nobody wants that pressure or that constant reminder from their partner that I lied to you 2 weeks ago about, I didn't know this person and I really did. Or you caught me cheating. Yeah, I messed up, but I don't need a constant reminder.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about if a person, let's say if you can't trust your partner. You can't trust your partner, whether it's a marriage or whether it's a relationship, whether it's dating. You can't trust. They've lied to you a couple times in a relationship. Okay, you must be reading chat.
Yes, sir. I tried to. And they're putting it in there too tonight. They doing good.
Okay. Want to talk about some of it? Anybody want to come off mute and talk about some of it, or you want to read some of it, or we'll talk about it?
Okay, so right now, what I was stuck on reading, someone did put in there, if they are a true friend, you should be able to talk about it. I say, hey, I don't mind, but if you don't have gas or whatever, I have to leave you. Give me 1 second. I have to leave you at home. This sounds one-sided. Not.
I see the one in the cheating. Cheating is a no-no. I'm dropping the mic on a relationship. Once a cheater, always a cheater. The relationship is over. Then I see another one. Then they need to cut it short and move on. And what did I say? Lying and cheating. Okay, then cheating. Okay. All right. So those are things we'll talk about. If you're in a relationship and and things are, let's see, what are some of the things? Anybody in the audience will help me out on relationships? what are some of the things you encounter in a relationship that you would need to let go or let them go or let that part of that part of the relationship go? I haven't heard from. I don't want to call on anybody, but I know somebody. I know they have. I know some. I want to call their name, but I don't want to call on her because we got a philosophy. We don't call on people, But I wish. I wish Annette would say something, but this is her ball of wax. This is her strengths are. Because when you talk about relationships, there's so much in relationships that can get you down. There's so much in relationships can push your buttons. There's so much in relationships that you carry. A lot of time, you and that person deal with each other day in and day out, and you carry so much hate, animosity, distrust, disloyalty in your heart for that person, and you guys are just, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. When really you've carried so much. How do we get beyond that? How do we start letting some of that stuff go? How do we start filtering out some of that stuff? How do we stop being a creature of habit or cycles? All right, anything about that? I see, but you are in love with me. I don't get that one. I see, but you're in love with me. I don't understand that one, man. Maybe I missed that one.
I think that was a part of another message that
okay,
put in the chat
okay.
With the other comments coming through. So yeah.
Okay. All right. And then it says, okay, I want to be I got it. I want to be in a committed relationship, not a triangle. Okay, thinking they need more than is important as mine. Okay, that's it. And and then it says, you can love me but not be in love with me. And that's true. That is true. That is true. That is true. All right. Anybody want to come off mute and say anything before we get to close this one out? Because we're almost at that time. I see you still in the chat, huh?
No. I'm not in there. No.
And the gist of the night is that let stuff go, because you need your peace. You don't need this stuff robbing your peace or taking your peace away from you. Let it go. Whether it's old resentment, whether it's guilt, whether it's conversations, or the old version of yourself. When we talked about a child, the old version of yourself, let it go. There's so much you can let go, and you can be a better person. And that's what we're talking about tonight. That's the whole gist of the thing tonight is. You need to find your peace. And a lot of times that's letting stuff go.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you guys for sharing tonight. As always, we thank you for showing up for our live open discussion. If you haven't already liked or subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. You are not weak for holding on. You are powerful when you release. If you've been waiting for permission to let this go, this is it. Choose peace this week, and I'll see you next Sunday night at 9. Good night, everyone, and have a wonderful
This
week.
Saturday's 4th of July, though.
Good night.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
Hey, I appreciate you guys had some good comments in the chat, because I'm still reading the chat, as a matter of fact. Even though we're close, I'm still reading it. Some great comments in the chat. So thank you very much for being a part of the night.
Yes, and yes, the 4th of July is next weekend. You are absolutely right, sir.
Yes.